What's going on, everybody? Good Wednesday. Well, it's afternoon here on the East Coast, but good morning if you're on Central, Mountain, Pacific, and Hawaiian time zones. Welcome to this week's edition of the MEAC More. I'm your host, Chris Stevens. The MEAC More is an HBCU sports podcast network exclusive where I discuss all things pertaining to the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, as well as our Division I friends at Hampton, North Carolina A&T, and Tennessee State. Hopefully you all are doing well out there. Very packed action of week 2 that we're going to talk about in a minute. But before we get to that, our sponsor, as it is for this week and every week, is Rock Solid Contracting out of Wilmington, Delaware. Rock Solid Contracting and Development handles construction, demolition, remediation, and all things related to construction work. Be sure to reach out to them at rocksolidworks.net if you need some work done. They do really good work. And once again, we want to thank Rock Solid Construction and Contracting and Development for being a sponsor of the MEAC More with Chris Stevens. Always appreciative of that. So, really good week of football. And before we get to the games, we're going to give out some awards as well. We do this every week. We debuted it last week. We're going to continue this. So, here are the MEAC More money players for week 2. And those players, money for their teams, no problems for the opposition. We will start with Caden Bennett, the grad student quarterback from the Delaware State University Hornets. 17 of 27 passing, 179 yards, no touchdowns, but no picks either. 137 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, including the winner in that wild game against Albany that we'll talk about in a minute. He was named MEAC Offensive Player of the Week. Next up is CJ Wesley, redshirt junior defensive lineman from Howard University. 8 total tackles against Temple, 1.5 tackle for loss, 1 sack, and a forced fumble. Wow, forced fumbled. I should have proofread before I put this graphic up, but that's okay. And he was named MEAC Defensive Player of the Week. And a special shout out also goes to grad student quarterback for Norfolk State, Moneybag O, Otto Coons. He came off the bench for Norfolk State, completed 13 of 20 passes for 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, and led Norfolk State to Michael Vick's first win as a head coach, 34 of 31 in overtime over Virginia State. And the person who kicked that game-winning field goal is the MEAC Special Teamer of the Week, freshman place kicker Evan Helfrich, who was 4 for 4 on extra points and, of course, kicked the 29-yarder in overtime to beat Virginia State. And last but not least, Jaquan Snipes, a redshirt senior running back from Hampton University, 18 carries, $174, 2 touchdowns, including a 47-yard scamper with 39 seconds left, as Hampton overcame a 2-score deficit to defeat Elizabeth City State 27-20. Those are our MEAC More money players for week 2. Congratulations to you, gentlemen. And if you know anybody that needs to be nominated for the MEAC More money players of the week coming up, shoot us an email, staff at hbcusports.com. You can also email me, chrisstevenswrites@gmail.com if you guys are interested in reaching out with nominations for that award or any other topics that you think I should discuss on this particular program. Would love to hear what you guys think. And we'll get to the nuts and bolts and the important part of the week here, and that is fly, Hornets and Spartans fly. I had to steal that from the Eagles because, of course, 2 former Philadelphia Eagles both won their first games as HBCU football head coaches this week, and they took divergent paths to get there. Of course, DeSean Jackson and Delaware State picked up their first win, snapping an 11-game losing streak dating back to week 3 of 2024 with a 37-32 win over Albany. I was there for that one. I can't wait to tell you all the story about that one. And, of course, Michael Vick and Norfolk State came back from 2 touchdowns down themselves to defeat Virginia State 34-31 in overtime. So I want to talk about the Delaware State game first. Of course, I want to talk about the Delaware State game first. Of course, why wouldn't I? But when you talk about unusual events, that entire Saturday in Dover, Delaware is up there. Make no mistake about it. When you think about the fact that this game started a little after 1 p.m., started a little after 1, and it wasn't moving very fast either because we had the I'm not a guy who likes to, brag on the refs a lot, but the referee crew at the Delaware State Albany game was amateurish to say the least. Like, they stopped play at least 15, 20 times to make sure they were lined up, not the players. They were lined up. I mean, that was a Keystone Cops officiating crew, and both teams suffered for it. Like they literally were just like, wait, hold up. Beep, 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 beep. Just like, did they just get y'all fresh out of the referee school or what? Y'all ain't hit no JV high school games. Y'all ain't hit no Pop Warner first. I mean, what's going on? Like these dudes must have just gotten fresh out of class. And they said, all right, y'all go to a Division I football game. Like that referee crew for both sides was not very good. Like I saw plays that, I mean, obviously Delaware State, had some struggles, with penalties, but Albany State had some stuff that was just not Albany State, I'm sorry, but University of Albany just had some plays called against them that were just absolutely, I mean, I'm sitting up in the booth. I'm like, have any of these guys ever officiated a game before? Well, that was one thing. Then, of course, was the weather. It literally wasn't a cloud in the sky until probably about 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, somewhere in the neighborhood. Clouds started to seep in. I was like, all right, we can still get this game in. So the funny part about that game is that Delaware State was up 31-20, and then Albany goes down and scores a quick touchdown. And for some strange reason, DSU decides to go for a fake punt on 4th and long deep in their own end. And the punter had a lane, but he tripped. So Albany goes in, takes this touchdown. They missed both 2-point conversions. That was the saving grace for for Delaware State. Both of those touchdowns by Albany in the last couple of minutes of the game, they missed the 2-point conversion both times. I would have taken an extra point. Like I would have made them put it on the foot of the kicker. Like Del State's kicker, like, all right, you know what? We're up. But it would be 34-31 if they had just taken the extra points. They say, all right, let's put it on this freshman kicker's foot and see if he's got the stones, to tie the game. And they didn't do that. So it was easier for Delaware State to just go down for a game-winning drive. But before we could get the game-winning drive, a lightning strike hit the area around 4:15, 4:20-ish. So they cleared the field. All right, 30 minutes. We all wait. Well, we in the press box wait. Everybody else went home. Del State students, Del State alumni, everybody else bounced. And that was disappointing because it was a nice crowd right up until the lightning struck. And I get it. I mean, nobody when they tell you to clear the area when there's a lightning strike. It's easy for me to sit up in the press box and say, all right, y'all should have stuck around or whatever. But I still wish that folks would have stuck around. So after that first delay, we come back out. Delaware State has the ball. They are moving quickly. They have 2nd and 6 on Albany's 44 at the 2-minute warning, and then another lightning strike. So they clear the field again. This time, the heavens opened up. And God, Yahweh, Buddha, Jehovah, Allah, whoever oversees this whole thing, dropped every ounce of water possible on Central Delaware for the next 2.5 hours. Like it rained sideways, front ways, back ways, upside down. You turn me inside out. It rained every conceivable way for the next 2.5 hours, and thunder and lightning intermittently. So we didn't know we was going to finish the game. But DeSean Jackson in the MEAC press conference on Monday said, we were finishing that game because I know how hard my guys worked. I know how hard they wanted. He said we were going to stay there until we couldn't stay there anymore. So that second delay started at 5:15-ish, 5:20-ish. Players came back on the field around 7:50. They warmed up for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, because they were sitting chilling for 2.5 hours. And DSU comes out of that delay. Caden Bennett does his thing, runs the right side for a touchdown with 34 seconds left. Defense holds him off, and Delaware State picks up their first win of the season, their first win under Coach Jack. Now, I'm going to tell you why this feels different than any other win Delaware State has had in recent memory. Like, they believed they were going to win this football game. Like, listening to those guys whooping it up and barking and talking, as they were walking back across campus, because I had to walk back across campus to get to my car. Like they literally thought that there was no way they were going to lose that football game. I don't know when was the last time you could say that about Delaware State football team. And credit goes to DeSean Jackson for instilling that winning mindset in these guys. Like they were not pleased. I mean, they played well against UD the previous week, but they were not pleased that they lost. So they showed up with bad intentions for Albany. And that game was back and forth. I mean, it was one of the best games of the weekend. Even if you take away the weather delay, it was one of the best games of the weekend. The weather delay just made it a little bit more dramatic. But it absolutely was one of the best games of the weekend, not just in HBCU football, but in all of FCS football. That's just my personal opinion. And they showed up Delaware State showed up ready to play. And no, Albany is not a CAA power by any means. They were 4-8 last year. They had their head coach left before the season started, so they have an interim head coach right now. But Albany, they got some heat. I mean, Jack Shields was slinging that thing around like, prime Elway, prime Marino, prime Montana. And I don't think Delaware State is going to see a better quarterback this year than Jack Shields from Albany. I don't. Like, that dude could sling it. Absolutely could sling it. And Delaware State took his best shots. He threw 4 touchdown passes. So, and the first one was on the 75-yard play, the second play of the game. So, I mean, I don't think Delaware State is going to see a better quarterback than Jack Shields this year. I don't. So, for them to take Jack Shields' best shot and still come out with a win, that's a huge confidence booster. Absolutely huge confidence booster. And they have Bowie State this week. I was going to say an easy game, and I'm not going to do that to Bowie because Bowie beat Shippensburg last week. They went up to Dutch Wonderland country and beat a PSAC team. So Bowie State, you got to watch out for Bowie. And Bowie beat Delaware State in 2023 in Lee Hall's home debut. And so that should have told us that the Lee Hall experiment was not going to go very well. But Coach Jack and these guys have this team believing. I mean, they're 1-1. I mean, granted, Delaware State football teams have started the season 1-1 before. I mean, it's nothing new, but I mean, they were actually 1-1 each of the last couple of years, to be quite honest with you. But you have to take the wins where you can. And I don't know what this team is going to look like once they get into the Northeast Conference portion of their schedule, because they it's not even the Northeast Conference portion anymore. It's more of like a hodgepodge because after Bowie, they go to St. Francis of Pennsylvania, which of course is moving down to D3 after this year. They go to Sacred Heart, who they beat last year, and that Delaware State team that beat Sacred Heart isn't as good as this year's Delaware State team. But they do have Monmouth at the end of that road trip, and Monmouth was picked second in the Coastal, so they're going to face a real good team in about 3 weeks. Then they get a Division II Southern Connecticut State for homecoming. So I think 4-3 is a fair ask. 5-2 even better. If they can finish non-conference play 5-2, then the MEAC should be on high alert for Delaware State. All right, we got people checking in the chat. Shouts out to KD. Yeah, happy hump day. All you people who are humping must be nice. Lucky people. Shouts out to Lawrence. Yeah. I'm just surprised anybody else at Delaware State is playing good football right about now. So, I mean, I'm happy about it, but I mean, it's still a surprise. A&T Roy, head blacks in charge, losers of 3 quarterbacks in 1 game, Aggies in house. We're going to talk about that in a minute. We're absolutely going to talk about that in a minute. So, but yeah, Delaware State, they did what they now expect to do. They expect to win. I mean, I still had to take a wait and see approach with it, but I saw this in person. And this was a special weekend for me, mind you, because 23 years ago this past weekend, September 7, 2002, I covered my very first HBCU football game as a student reporter at Delaware State. Delaware State beat Savannah State 41-9. This is when Savannah State had 1 foot in the SIAC, 1 foot in the MEAC. And this was the week after they beat Morris Brown, who also was supposed to be joining the MEAC before they had their financial issues. But yeah, 23 years ago this past weekend was the first time I'd ever covered a football game as a sports reporter. So my career has been going on more than half of my life, and I'm eternally grateful for it. I'm grateful to Ken Rashad at HBCU Sports for giving me the opportunity to live this dream a little while longer. And this weekend was just one of those weekends where, well, it's just another story. And, it's a story that you get to tell, over and over again over time. Because if you told me that I would go to a football game that would start at 1 p.m. and didn't end until 8:30, 8:45 at night, I would have said you were crazy. as the old folks say, keep on living. Keep on living. On to Norfolk State now, who, of course, came back to defeat Virginia State, big state, as it were, 34-31 in overtime. And Lennon, you will get no argument from me on this one. Otto Coons has earned the right to be the Norfolk State starting quarterback. Second time Otto Coons has come off the bench this season. Second time he has given Norfolk State a boost. This time he gave him the win. 13-20, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, 5 carries, 23 yards. I mean, he's the guy. He's got to be the guy. And Lennon says there's nothing else to discuss. I think the only reason he keeps playing Izzy Carter is because he's the hometown boy for Newport News. I'm not going to question Michael Vick's judgment yet because it's not my place to do so. I mean, it's my place to sort of, discuss these things. I mean, but I guess Coach Vick is going with what he thinks is best. But after seeing what Otto Coons has done these first 2 games, I think he has to reevaluate what he feels like his best is. Because Otto Coons is coming in and giving that team an immediate boost. I mean, Dawson Odens probably should have kept him to start. Well, actually, Dawson Odens, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to put that on Dawson Odens because Otto had some eligibility things to work through. But other than that, Otto Coons is Norfolk State's best quarterback by a mile. And I think they're better served with him moving forward if they're going to compete at a MEAC level this year. We'll find out more because, of course, they got Rutgers this week. Who do they have after that? I think it's Sacred Heart after that. Yeah, they're at Rutgers this week. They get a visit from Sacred Heart the next week. So you got to really no, they don't get a visit. Wait, because Delaware State's at Sacred Heart next week. No, wait. Delaware State is at St. Francis next week. So yeah, Sacred Heart is at Norfolk State. I had to think about that. But yeah, we're gonna find out really, really quickly, how much trust Coach Vick has in Otto Coons. And honestly, right now, he should have all the trust. Because Otto came in there, as I like to call him, Moneybag O, came in there and performed the way you expect a grad student quarterback to perform. And that helped Coach Vick get his first dub. And again, Virginia State, they're going to be a pain in the butt in the CIAA. I keep talking this young man up. I mean, if you have not seen Rasan Matthews Jr. throw the football yet, what are you waiting on? Like, he's a D1 quarterback at a D2 school. And not the same thing bad about the CIAA, because the CIAA is one of the most competitive conferences in the country. But, RJ Matthews had Norfolk State on their heels on Saturday until Coach Vick put Otto Coons in there. So, yeah. Yeah, Auntie Roy, that might be it. That might be it. Some guys and some athletes are just better when the lights are on as opposed to when nobody's paying attention. Well, the coaches are paying attention in practice, but I mean, when there's nobody in the stands, it's like, But when the lights are on, people in the stands, it's like, let me cook. That might be what it is with Otto. But whatever the case is, he has led this team to considerable scoring drives each of the 2 games he's been thrust in that relief pitcher role so far. So let him be the starting pitcher. Let him be the starting quarterback. I don't see a reason why. I mean, I don't know anything about Israel Carter, so I'm not going to sit here and just, downplay the young man, but I'm going to tell you what I saw about Otto Coons. Otto Coons, it seems like Norfolk State responds better when he's the quarterback. So, I mean, free money bag. Oh, give him a chance. So, yeah, those are the 2 wins that the MEAC had this week. The rest of the week was really rough. I mean, Howard lost to Temple 55-7. North Carolina Central lost to Old Dominion 54-6. And Howard, I just said Howard. And South Carolina State, they actually played very well against South Carolina. Only problem was they kept kicking to the same punt return guy twice, and he returned both of those for touchdowns. Other than that, South Carolina State played really well against South Carolina. So it was a rough week for the MEAC, but the highlights, of course, is going to be Mike Vick and DeSean Jackson winning their first games. Like, you're not going to, as much as and this is a person coming from a person who is not a fan of splash hires. I am not. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I was scratching my head. I mean, I didn't scratch my head as much when Norfolk State hired Michael Vick because, of course, he's a 757 guy. The DeSean Jackson thing for DSU, I was like, where did that come from? But then I went to the press conference, and then I just saw the determination in his face. the sincerity and the thoughtfulness with which he answered every media question. I'm like, okay, so he wants to be here. He wants to give this a shot. And so far, he's got this Delaware State team looking like a football team for the first time since Rob Milstead was in charge. I mean, they might even look a little bit better than when Rob Milstead was in charge. And Coach Milstead didn't have a bad run. He just ran out of time as far as the patience with the powers that be are concerned. I just still think it was kind of like, dirty pool to just kick out a guy who is one of your most famous alums as head coach. And he didn't have to come back to be head coach. The previous AD begged him to come back. And he did. He's like, all right, I can help out. It's my alma mater. I've coached here before. I can be the head coach. It's no problem. And they were so close to a winning season in 2022. But guys caught the Rona. COVID was still rampant. COVID is still rampant now. Don't get me wrong. Which means, by the way, everybody should mask up and get these vaccinations while they still can, because the baked potato in charge of Health and Human Services is trying to take away vaccination. So if you ain't vaccinated yet, you better get on that. I'm in the middle of it now, Steven. If you want to go back a few minutes, I'm still in the middle of it, but I appreciate the support as always. Oh, before I continue, we're still doing super chats. So if you guys want to drop a super chat, whether it's $2, $3, $5, $10,000, we don't mind. Just drop a super chat. And I promise you, I won't sing, but I will sing if I have to for a super chat. Chris Stevens sings for super chats. That might be my live album debut. But yes, overall, Delaware State under Rob Milstead was not a bad football team. 2022, they were 4-2. Then guys got sick. They lost 4 of the next 5, 4 of the next 6. No, 4 of the next 5. Yeah, and that was it. Thanks for coming. We got some lovely parting gifts for you. 5 and 6. And they got Coach Milstead out of there and hired Lee Hall. And I'm not saying anything bad about Lee Hall as a human being. He was very good to talk to. But that team did not want to play for that man. They didn't. And it showed on the field. Like, that was the most uninspired Delaware State football team I've ever seen. I've been observing Delaware State football for close to 25 years. They just look like they'd rather be anywhere else within the football field most days. And then, of course, enter DeSean Jackson. And Coach Jackson, or Coach Jack, and please leave the K off. It's J-A-C. Coach J-A-C. Coach Jack. He comes in, says, I've never done this before, but I'm willing to give it a shot. 2 wins in 2 years can't happen anymore. And lo and behold, this team is 1-1 with a good chance to go 2-1 against Bowie State. Probably can go 3-1 because I don't think St. Francis is going to be that big of a problem for Delaware State. So if this team ends the non-conference schedule with more wins in this year than they have in the last 2, then the DeSean Jackson experiment is absolutely a success. If they can finish with a winning record, then it is an unqualified success, an unquestioned success. Then we probably might have to start asking some questions about how long is he going to stay and what that looks like. Because DeSean Jackson, for all of his his youth and inexperience as a head coach, if he turns around a football team that has not had a winning record in 13 years and gives them a winning record, people are going to be knocking on his door. Make no mistake about it. And that's what concerns me, because I don't want DSU to have one good winning season and then just fall off a cliff after, some other school with a whole lot of money backs up the truck for him. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But overall, good week for Delaware State football. Great week for Norfolk State football. And the MEAC as a whole is not in a bad place. Oh, we didn't talk about Morgan State. I forgot about Morgan State. Morgan State had a chance to beat Towson, didn't beat Towson. And I think people are going to, again, fair or foul, people are going to start asking questions about Morgan State. Can they do it? Do they have the right pieces in place? Do they have this? Do they have that? I still think this is a team that's going to make some noise in the MEAC. I do. And I think Towson just presents a lot of problems for MEAC schools because, well, they're a CAA school. They've seen the best of the best. They saw Delaware before they left. They see Villanova. They saw Richmond before they left. They've seen William and Mary. This is William and Mary's last year in the CAA, by the way. They've seen New Hampshire, they've seen Rhode Island, they've seen Elon and Campbell when they were good. So Towson just comes into a MEAC school and says, all right, so what? Yeah, y'all got the band popping. Yeah, y'all got this, but we don't like your kind around here, buddy. Now, let me stop. Let me not cast that aspersion on Towson. I mean, it is Baltimore County. So the further you get from the city, the more likely you're liable to face those kind of shenanigans. But overall, I mean, I just don't. I mean, I'm not ready to push the panic button on Morgan State yet. I ain't. It's just too early in the season to do that. Yeah, they played well against South Alabama. They should have beat Towson. They're probably not going to beat Toledo this week. So they'll probably end up 0-3, but there's still a chance that they could, make some noise in the MEAC. I'm not discounting Morgan State. You can't discount anybody at this point in the season because it's too doggone early. It is just too doggone early. And, until teams start playing each other in conference, then we can start, surmising who gets to the Celebration Bowl. But right now, you just want your team to get better, stay healthy, and be ready for conference play. Everything else, is just, if you get the wins, cool. Like Central beating Southern was great. Delaware State beating Albany was great. South Carolina beating Wofford on the most ugliest missed field goal I've ever seen. That's great. But as long as you keep your guys healthy and you're ready for MEAC play, that's the important thing. That is the important thing. And speaking of health, we have a very interesting quote from North Carolina A&T head coach Shawn Gibbs. And here's what he had to say.
I mean, honestly, our team, I don't think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. I mean, we've got 60-plus points put on us, and we lost 3 quarterbacks. So, for me, yeah, it was a good environment, great platform, but is that worth it? I don't know.
Well, and I'm not going to discount what Coach Gibbs said because, Central Florida absolutely just did whatever they wanted to do to A&T this past weekend. 68-7 was the final score. So here's the thing. Oh, my God. Here y'all go. Here goes Steven. The face of a defeated man. Good Lord. And Kim Spears. Why homeboy looked like somebody kicked his dog? Well, somebody did kick his dogs. Central Florida kicked them Aggies just. And it's unfortunate, but it's a catch-22. It's a catch-22 with our schools as far as guarantee games are concerned, no matter the sport. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And it's so funny because during that weather delay at Delaware State, Albany's sports information rep for their football team had the Ohio State Grambling game on in the press box on his laptop. And so he leans over to me and says, would you take $1 million for a 70-0 loss? And I had to explain to this gentleman that this money is going to fund a lot of what's going on in the athletic department at Grambling. So yes, it looks bad. It looks terrible. But it is what it is. At this point, our funding issues have been, it's no secret. It is no secret that we are struggling with funding because the federal government ain't going to give us nothing. The state don't want to get nobody nothing in the public HBCU sphere. And alumni, we got to do better at donations across the board. There are some schools who have great alumni giving. Most of our schools don't. So we really can't complain if we're not going to plunk the coins down to make sure our athletic programs and all of our programs, from an academic and athletic level, are up to snuff. So I'm not going to sit here and just, the government stinks. Don't get me wrong, this government stinks, locally and federal. But we got to help ourselves out too. So Lawrence Q said that look on Coach Gibbs' face says it all, rethinking his life. Look, And Brandon Cyrus says other people have done worse for a check. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. We won't talk about that, but you know, A&T Roy says this UCF team was the best FBS team we've ever played. Two of the QB injuries were flukish, but they happened. Might get them both back this year. So my question for A&T Roy or any Aggie alum that'll catch this on the flip is, what does A&T do from here? Do you guys have like an emergency quarterback? Is there a guy that you're going to kind of have to press into service a little bit ahead of time? Is there a guy that is like an athlete that you can put back there until the other guys get healthy? That's something I would love to know the response to, because again, I'm not one of these people who roots for A&T's downfall. I'm not. I want them to do well in the CAA. I do. I forgot Brandon Cyrus is a A&T alum. ODB, A&T Sports Hall of Famer, by the way. So they got a true freshman QB. Well, young man, your time is now. My time is up. My time is now. Shouts out to John Cena. But yeah, his time is now. No time like the present. Get in there, take your lumps, learn a few things, be ready for year 2. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about the wishbone. I love the wishbone because back when Bill Walsh college football was a thing on Sega Genesis, I used to run my friends ragged with Air Force Academy and that wishbone. They hated me for that because I would just, send guys left, send guys right. I think in all the years, in all the years I played Bill Walsh college football with Air Force, I don't think I passed more than 15% of the time. I love that option of veer wishbone stuff. I wish football was still conducive to that. But you have so many athletes now that the game is so spread out that it's become a passing game. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I still think, you need a running game to win something. You still need some sort of running game to win. Shouts out to Silas Edward McMorris. I watched your DSU play, Hornets play, and they look good. My Prairie View Panthers came short against UT Rio Grande. They were close, though. They were close. Tremaine Jackson got them playing some really good football. Ken Rashad will probably talk about that this week on the swag page. Shouts out to KD checking in. Yeah, I understand him, and I don't like money games, but unfortunately, I can't write a check to stop the bleeding in our HBCUs. Yeah, none of us can. None of us can. It's got to be a concerted effort. It's got to be a community effort. We can all write checks to sort of, stop it a little bit, but one person, there's not one, benefactor that can just drop billions on. Actually, it's $1 trillion problem, I would think, at this point. Because when you think about it, you got 107 HBCUs that have been underfunded for generations. So we're not talking about billions anymore. We're talking about trillions. So it sucks. And granted, one of the biggest donors, to HBCUs of all time is a predator. Bill Cosby gave money to HBCUs hand over fist, but he was slipping pills in women's drinks hand over fist. So now you have to watch who your donors are so that it doesn't come back to bite you in the butt. You really gotta vet people who want to just drop money on your institution because you don't know what kind of skeletons they hide in their closet. It's tough out here for HBCUs. And it's by design. It's by design. We've talked about just how little the government in Tennessee cares for Tennessee State. They reluctantly gave that school $100 million. They were like, all right, you want $100 million? Here, N-word, damn. That type of deal. And it's still not nearly enough to fix what's going on at Tennessee State. It's not. And this is just how it is across the board. No matter what state you're in, the government, just they're not going to help HBCUs, especially not now. Especially now that the tangerine-tinted tyrant is back in power for the foreseeable future. It's just not going to happen. So our schools are just at an extreme. They were already at a disadvantage, but now we're at an extreme disadvantage. So you got to figure out what it is you're going to do as a community and as an institution, as an institutional family to help your school survive, not just athletically, but academically. So, it's tough. It's tough out here. Well, here's the thing. Howard said Diddy never even gave them the $1 million to begin with. So did Jackson State even get $1 million from Diddy? I'm just saying. Howard said they never got the money from them. So I mean, if his own alma mater didn't get the $1 million, I don't think Jackson State got it either. That's just maybe a Tiger will check into this podcast and correct me. But if he didn't give Howard the $1 million, I don't think that he gave Jackson State the $1 million either. Shouts out to South. I was about to say, why not? I keep saying South Carolina. I don't know. Shout out to Chicago State head coach Bobby Rome II. Coach Rome, your invite for this podcast is still open, by the way. He said the check games help tremendously, not just football, but the entire athletic department. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks, but you get to keep your girls' soccer program another year. You get to add some more weights to the weight room. You get to pay your trainers, pay your administrative assistants, and all of that stuff with guarantees. So, I mean, yeah, it sucks going somewhere and getting mangled by 5 or 6 touchdowns. But you walk away with $1 million, your athletic program, that's $1 million your athletic program ain't got to worry about. It sucks. But until we can figure out a way to fund ourselves or find a good mutual fund base, that's what we got to do. That is what we have to do. I had a watcher says, Lincoln, California lives off of money games, and so do VUL. You already know how I feel about those two institutions, so I ain't gonna go into too much detail about that. But it's hard, man. I mean, I can't imagine. Like everybody said, Coach Gibbs looked like a broken man, and this is only the second game of the season, and he hasn't even started coastal play yet. He starts coastal play this week because they play Hampton. So. But yeah, Coach Gibbs looks like, damn, this is going to be a long year. I didn't think he knew it was going to be a long year, but it does. He's still within his rights to be frustrated because they should have beat Tennessee State the previous week. And then they go to UCF, and then UCF just walks them up and down the field. And now you got to play Hampton, who is playing some really good football at this point. It's not going to be easy for A&T, but I still think that they hired the right guy for the job. I do. If anybody was going to get them out from under the Vincent Brown mess, it's probably going to be Shawn Gibbs. He's just got to. He's just going to have to weather this storm. He's just going to have to weather this storm for this year at least, and then hopefully 2026 looks brighter. But he's got to clean up the mess and the muck and the mire from the Vincent Brown era, because even though that was only 2 years, it was a devastating 2 years for A&T. It's kind of like what DeSean Jackson has to do with cleaning out from the Lee Hall era. And here's the thing. DSU has a much easier schedule. Like, look, first weeks of the season. DSU they had UD. Weren't expected to win that game, but played well. Albany, weren't expected to win that game, won that game. Bowie State should be expected to win that game, should win that game. Should beat St. Francis of Pennsylvania. Sacred Heart's a toss-up. Don't think they're going to beat Monmouth. Should beat Southern Connecticut State. A&T, Tennessee State, Central Florida, Hampton. And then I don't know if they play South Carolina State or North Carolina Central first. But then they get that, and then they get coastal play. A&T has the much tougher road. And my heart goes out to them. Hopefully they get it right in the near future. I had a watcher says Hampton should have lost to East Elizabeth City State. Yeah, they should have. Because they were down 2 scores. But, that Division I versus Division II thing, it does take effect after some point. That's how Norfolk State and Hampton were both able to win their games this weekend. No shame in it, though. Because, HBC rivalry games, they matter. They absolutely matter. And that's why, even though I'm excited that Delaware State won an exciting football game against an opponent from a good conference, my antennas Shouts out Cat Williams. Shouts out Cat Williams. Where were your antennas? My antennas are still up for Bowie State. Like, this game still gives me agita to a degree. So hopefully this Delaware State team takes it seriously and does what they're supposed to do. Shouts out to Adam Spencer checking in. A win is a win. Absolutely. You beat who's in front of you. Don't matter who's in front of you as long as you got one more point than them. Auntie Roy says, I think that Jackson was losing his 3 QBs. We back at it on the Hampton. Yeah, that's a good attitude to have. I mean, there's no use crying over spilled milk at this point. I mean, it is what it is. You got to, strap it up and play next week. You can't just forfeit the game. So hopefully A&T has some strong, hopefully they have some strong, intestinal, cardiovascular and mental fortitude within them, and they can, make it a good game against Hampton. So I'm rooting for A&T and Hampton. Like, yes, I'm disappointed that the MEAC is basically, on shaky ground, but I'm not gonna begrudge A&T and Hampton for wanting to test themselves against, a higher level of competition. I want them to succeed. I'm not gonna root against the HBCU. I'm not gonna root for HBCU to fail. That's just foolish. So hopefully A&T and Hampton can do some things in the Coastal this year, or if not, they start making roads towards doing so. So, I mean, it is what it is at this point. There have been teams that have started off rough, real rough. Because I can tell you, one of my most favorite years covering a football team was the 2004 Delaware State Hornets. This was the late Al Levan's first year as head coach. Rest in peace to the Big Stinger, one of the most intriguing, interesting people I've ever had a chance to talk to. And they started 0-4. I'll never forget, because who did they lose to? Matter of fact, the first home game, it was either the first or second home game. They lost to Southern Illinois, who had a dude by the name of Brandon Jacobs. Yes, that Brandon Jacobs of the New York Giants. And he was a big son of a gun then. He was bigger than all of our defensive linemen. And he ran up and down the Alumni Stadium field like it was practice. Like, Brandon Jacobs was just doing all sorts of evil, vile NC-17 things to the Delaware State defense. And the week before their home game with Hampton, they lost to North Carolina Central, who was still Division II at that time. And Central went down the field on a game-winning drive, and and Delaware State was 0-4. And Hampton was ranked 17th in the country at that time when they came in. And I just remember thinking, please don't let them hang 70 on us. That's all that was my thought going into the game. Please don't let them hang 70 on us. So the crazy thing happened. It rained again. Like Friday night going into Saturday morning, it was raining cats, frogs, dogs, mothers, chickens, cats, whatever, all the way into Saturday morning. And Delaware State didn't have turf at this point. So it was just a chewed up grass and muddy field. And as fast as Hampton was, they could not get a track on that field. And DSU won 28-23. And that team ended up finishing 4-7. That was one of my favorite years covering a football team, because you could see the seeds were being planted for a more successful football team. So I have, I've seen football teams that have looked bad. I've seen basketball teams that have looked bad, but still been able to be competitive. So I hope A&T and Hampton are able to, sort of pull off that trick of showing, a track towards improvement. Shout out to Stutter and Nuke checking in. Greatly appreciate you. So looking ahead, this week again, it's going to be tough for everybody on the schedule. I mean, we didn't even talk about Tennessee State getting North Dakota State, the other Bison, the Bison with the bullhorns, 59-3. We talked about how maybe the weather was going to factor in. North Dakota State said, we'll wear short sleeves. It don't matter to us. And it really didn't. It really didn't. So, I mean, North Dakota State is probably going to be in the conversation to win FCS again this year, because, again, they're, as Ken Rashad has said, they're an FBS program masquerading as an FCS program. So, if you were expecting Tennessee State to win last week, I hope you didn't bet anything. But yeah, it's going to be tough for everybody this week. I mean, that Hampton A&T game, that one is going to be for pride. Central hosts Fayetteville State Fayetteville State, they have a problem scoring. That's gonna hurt them against the Central team that has a really good Division I defense. Again, Delaware State hosts Bowie. I'm really interested to see how that game turns out. Morgan, I mean, Toledo isn't an FBS powerhouse, but Morgan State is probably going to have to play a lot better than they played the last two games to win that one. Howard has Morehouse in the NYC class up at MetLife Stadium. I think Howard wins that one. And it's still a test. I mean, because there's still the question of, is Morehouse joining the MEAC or not? That's been the topic of conversation for months on end. So I guess this is another point where Howard and Morehouse are just kind of like, feeling it out and say, okay, maybe we can go back to Georgia. Maybe we can have Morehouse come and join us. It all depends. So who else plays this week? Norfolk State is at Rutgers. And South Carolina State hosts Bethune-Cookman, who has not looked good at all these first 2 weeks. So we'll probably have a lot better progress to report for the MEAC next week, but hopefully, again, we as we like to do here on this show, I mean, we talk about, sports, but we like to talk about, the context behind things. Like, I was glad that, people were bringing up donations and different things of that nature, because, it all matters. It all matters. I mean, we can sit here and talk about, X's and O's, Jimmy's and Joe's, but we also need to talk about dollars and cents, because that's the biggest thing about college sports right now. It is a money game. Like the NCAA finally said, okay, we're going to stop lying to y'all. It is about the money. And now that the veil has been taken off, the facade has, been torn down, it's an arms race. If you don't have the money, you're not going to be able to compete. And I think everybody thinks that HBCUs are going to suffer. I mean, yeah, we're going to suffer first, of course, but other PWIs are going to have to start making decisions about how they want to compete, at what level of college sports they can compete. Because Hartford had a Division I program for years. I mean, we're talking about one of the most famous alums is Vin Baker, who played in the NBA for a very long time. They just moved down to Division III, the whole shebang. St. Francis of Pennsylvania, who was on the unfortunate end of one of the best plays in the NCAA tournament last year when Alabama State threw that Hail Mary to get the layup and beat them. They're moving down to D3 after this year. So, I mean, HBCUs are going to have to think about things too, but PWIs as well. Like the money just ain't there for everybody. Because look at how much money the television contract is for the Power Fours. The resources ain't equal, folks. And a lot of schools are going to have to start thinking about, okay, do we want to become a sports institution, or do we want to continue with the mission of educating young people? And I hope that a lot of people choose the latter, because as much as we love sports, we're HBCU sports. Hello. We love sports, but we also love our HBCUs. I mean, HBCUs first. HBCUs is first in HBCU sports. So we want HBCUs to thrive and survive and continue to turn out great professionals, like in the fields of academia, in medicine, in business, in art, in science and technology, and all of that. We can't do that if we just going to try to win a football game every week. We got to start thinking about, long-term health of our institutions. And the PWIs are too. I mean, we're going to suffer first. But I can tell you now, there are a lot of teams that just joined Division I that are probably thinking about, maybe we should go back to Division II, or even go down even further. Don't be surprised if you see a lot of that from, SoCons and, Grand Valleys and all of that good stuff. The decisions are coming, ladies and gentlemen. People are going to really have to think long and hard about how they want to do this moving forward, because this game ain't for everybody. And that's okay. That's okay. I mean, you can literally just field a good team at a Division II or Division III level and still have pride in your school, and still have people show up and support, and still be able to educate these kids so they can become great professionals and great human beings. That's what the ultimate goal should always be. Michael Road Dog Reed says Saturday showed how far most FCSers are from being competitively relevant. This Saturday will show how close our D2s are from being able to knock us off consistently. The MEAC and SWAC, D2s in denial. Anybody want to comment on that? Brandon Cyrus said, how many teams have dropped from D1 the past year? Like 3. I mean, it's a small number comparatively, but that's just the start. Like once the NIL dollars really start rolling in and people are hell bent on private equity getting into college sports. Once private equity joins college sports, you can cancel Christmas. Like there's literally nothing that is going to be able to stop these, private equity groups, these folks from just handing money to the institutions they want to hand money to. And that comes with a cost. So a lot of schools, again, at the PWI level, at the HBCU level, everybody's going to start thinking about it sooner rather than later. Sooner rather than later. I can promise you. It's not even close to just how far the gap is, with respect to money. Like for crying out loud. And again, I'm a person that wants everybody to get paid. Never forget, Texas Tech, who was irrelevant in a lot of sports, quite honestly, paid Nigeri Kennedy, the best college pitcher in the country for softball. She was at Stanford. They paid her $1 million to transfer. She got them to the college softball World Series. They gave her another $1 million to come back for 2026. $2 million for a softball player. And this isn't a knock on her again. She's dynamite. If you watch her pitch, she is one of them ones. She's worth the money. $2 million. What is that? Is that the entire MEAC softball, resource program? I mean, the gap is just too wide. We got to stop pretending like we can keep up and catch up. We're not going to catch up, and we damn sure ain't going to keep up. We have to be honest with ourselves about this. It's just it's too far of a gap. I mean, when you look at the traditional underfunding and all of that other stuff, so it's hard, man. It's hard. Stephen Campbell says this is a great point. Here's the deal. Remember those scholarships help athletes get college degrees. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if we drop down, we can give less athletic scholarships, correct? The mission is still school. Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, yeah, those scholarships count a long way towards keeping your athletes in the classroom. Make no mistake about it. So it's a catch-22. It's like my grandmother used to say, damned if you do, damned if you don't. So it's hard. I mean, that's all I can say at this point is that hopefully someone, with a little more business savvy and planning than I can figure this out. Because if you're looking to Chris Stevens for answers, I ain't got nothing. I can just tell you what the optics are. But as far as like coming up with a plan for this stuff, my degree is in journalism, not in business. I'm proud of my mass communications degree with a concentration in print journalism, mind you, from Delaware State. Remember when people used to read newspapers all the time? That was fun. Finding out that the Atlanta Journal-Constitution is going to discontinue their print edition just hurt my heart so much because I grew up reading newspapers, like literally having that paper in my hand. Not the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, but just a newspaper, like from my local paper, the News Journal here in Wilmington, Delaware. So I mean, this is a wild time to be alive, man. All the above. Ida Watcher says, as long as the school can still afford it, they should stay D1. If they can afford it, that's the question. ODB says, I expect to see more conference realignment as a result of revenue sharing and NIL. Yes. Like there's going to be a lot of schools that just started figuring out, okay, this conference is a little better aligned with our goals as far as institution and athletic competitiveness goes. Like I'm not good. I'm telling you, I'm not going to be surprised to see a struggling Power 4 or a struggling, PWI of note drop down for them to a mid-major. Like, honestly, I don't see Delaware staying in Conference USA very long. I don't. And I mean, Delaware has money. Don't get me wrong, Delaware has money, as evidenced by them being overstaffed and outfunding Delaware State for generations. But do they have FBS money? We are going to find out in short order. We are absolutely going to find out in short order. Do not be surprised if a school of note joins a mid-major and some of these schools that were mid-majors jumping up come back to earth, because the money just it ain't there for everybody. It ain't there for everybody. But we're going to keep talking about this because it's the only way that, people understand that what HBCUs are up against. And that's what we do here at HBCU Sports. We talk about the sports, but we talk about the important stuff as well. So I've talked you guys' heads off enough. Zach McKinnell checks in, says Idaho did it. They won't be the last one. Nope. Guaranteed. It's gonna be more coming. There's gonna be more coming. Make no mistake about it. So hopefully you guys keep abreast with your institutions. Donate if you can. Give your time as well. Like, I was talking to Gary Lang, who is the Delaware State radio person for Heritage Sports Radio Network, and he teaches at Delaware State. And I would love to teach at Delaware State. I mean, I'm a graduate of the journalism program, so I know a thing or two. So I guess I'm kind of shooting my shot, just putting it out there into the universe. If my alma mater will have me teach a journalism class or a writing class, I can do it. I would love to do it because I still think there's value in the written word. I mean, I am a writer. I mean, I've been a sports writer for 23 going on 24 years. I've self-published 12 novels on Amazon. Oh, matter of fact, if you guys are interested in any of those, I'll drop a link in the chat. Yes, I write fiction books as well as factual journalism. So if you guys are interested in my creative stylings, you can check that out at this link. All right. So all of my books are in ebook format, by the way. So they're 99 cents each. So if you want to get 12 books for $11.90 something or whatever it is, add them to your e-reader. All of my main characters are Black. There's family, bonds, there's friendships, there's plenty of romance. I mean, I like to say my 3 books are family, friends. The 3 tenets of my books are family, friends, and, well, another F word. You get the picture. No, I'll leave it at that. So if you guys want to check me out on Amazon, you're more than welcome to do that. So that's going to do it for this edition of the MEAC More. Before I sign off, be sure to tune in tomorrow for the Better Than Less Than podcast with Jared Hoffman. He's going to give you all the 411 on Division II and NAIA football, including Johnson C. Smith's biggest win in generations. Like, we all were openly rooting for Johnson C. Smith last week, and they did the damn thing against Valdosta State. Jared Hoffman is going to have more on that tomorrow on the Better Than Less Than podcast. And Friday, it's probably going to be the SWAC page with Ken Rashad, or we may do another roundtable. So, we got podcasts coming. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, become a level 1 or level 2 member, so you can, get all the perks for $4.99 a month. If you want to donate a traditional way, we have the Zelle app. Open up the Zelle app, type in donate at hbcusports.com, drop your coins there. Or you can go directly to the website, hbcusports.com/donate, and donate your coins there. And be sure to follow us on all manners of social media. We are on the Musty app. That's Twitter, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, and just search for HBCU Sports. And if you want, we have a newsletter as well. You can go to the HBCU Sports website and sign up for the newsletter and, get everything. Podcasts, news stories, features, all of it coming straight to your inbox. So thank you guys for watching and banging with me this week on the MEAC More. Appreciate y'all as always. Once again, tomorrow, the Better Than Less Than podcast with Jared Hoffman. Friday, SWAC page with Ken Rashad or another roundtable with all of us. We'll figure it out when we get there. So thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the football this weekend. Until the next time we up for the MEAC and More. Y'all take care of yourselves and each other. We gone.